All right, welcome to the HTC hd2 disassembly digitizer replacement video. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of look at the tools we need. We need a hot air tool. We need a set of tweezers, a T5 screwdriver, a spudger, and a precision blade in order to do this disassembly and digitizer replacement. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is remove our battery cover and our battery. Next, we're going to remove 4 T5 screws. All right, so in this step, what you guys want to do is you want to use your spudger or your blade, preferably your spudger, unless you're very experienced, to remove your LCD. And as you can see, the technician is actually just finding a nice spot to actually stick his spudger in between the LCD assembly and the back casing, and using leverage and working his way around step by step to actually separate that LCD assembly and that back cover. So again, if you don't have a lot of experience in doing this, you really want to use that spudger, because you don't want to compromise the customer's case any at all. Right, so after removing the LCD assembly, we want to remove the antenna. We'll unplug the antenna. There's one plug and one ribbon cable. So we're gonna disconnect the plug, the antenna, and the plug. And then at the very bottom of the phone, you want to remove that yellow tape that's covering the ribbon cable, and you want to disconnect the ribbon cable. Next, you want to remove 3 T5 logic board screws. Next thing you want to do is you want to use your blade, and you actually want to cut the foil shield on the right side. And then your next step is to gently remove the label without damaging your flex ribbon cable. If you need to use some heat or some low level heat at around 100 degrees, feel free to do that. And this will help you release some of that adhesive that is holding this ribbon cable or this label. So you really want to be careful at this point, because there is a ribbon cable right under the top left part of this label. So you want to be careful not to tear it. All right, so be very cautious right where our technician's finger was. So after doing that, you want to, there are 2 connectors under your logic board that need disconnecting before you actually remove your logic board. So when you want to use your tweezers, lift your logic board and disconnect these 2 connectors. Once you disconnect those connectors, your board should fold completely back. It's not totally disconnected, but it will allow you to remove the yellow tape. Once you remove the yellow tape, You will be able to disconnect the connectors totally and remove the logic board. Next, you want to remove the tape and cut the foil on the left side. So you want to remove the tape, and once you remove the tape, again on the left side, you want to totally cut that foil. You want to flip it over to the right side of the unit. Remove the tape as demonstrated in the video. We will be replacing that tape. So on the left side of the phone, again on the left side, use the blade to separate the LCD. So you want to insert your blade on the left side of your phone and slide your blade all the way down. Now caution, flex on the right side. So you have a flex on the right side, so be sure not to cut your flex. So you want to start at the very bottom of the phone and work your way down. Then you're going to use your blade to split top of LCD. You're going to apply a little low-level heat. And if you're working on this phone, I really advise you to actually watch the entire video before you try to step-by-step it with us, so that you can see exactly what you need to look out for. So you want to apply a little low-level heat. Next, you want to use your spudger and blade to remove your LCD completely. So once we do this particular step, you guys will see which ribbon cables you need to be on the lookout for when separating your LCD from your middle frame of your phone. So you may need to use your precision blade to cut a little bit more into your LCD assembly in order to separate your LCD assembly from your mid frame. The next step you want to do is you want to remove all old tape. All right, this is all the old tape. So the technician is going to show you exactly which tape and where you should be removing it from your middle frame. All right, it's very important that you remove all the old tape. Again, it's important that you get all of your old tape off. It's very important so that when we put this unit or reassemble this unit, we won't have any problems setting our unit properly. So after all tape is removed, from our middle casing, we want to remove all the old tape from our LCD also. And while our technician is doing this, I want you guys to really take notice of the particular LCD he's working on. You can actually see where that ribbon cable is that you don't want to cut. You want to be very aware of that when separating the LCD from the middle frame. All right, so the next step is to apply low heat to the LCD. So using a blade, you want to separate the LCD from the digitizer. Be careful not to scratch the LCD if it is not damaged. So you want to be very careful in this step. You want to angle your precision blade away from your LCD. To keep from scratching your LCD. You need to be very careful with this particular step. All right, so the next thing you want to do is disconnect your ribbon flex cable connectors before you totally separate the LCD from the digitizer. So this is in your top right corner of your assembly. So your next step is to remove the old tape from the LCD. So you want to remove the tape from the inside of your new digitizer. And you want to apply about a 1/2 inch adhesive to the new digitizer on all sides, as shown in the video. This is a very important step, as this is what we're going to be using to readhesive our digitizer back to our main frame or our LCD. So we want to be sure that we hit all 4 corners or all 4 sides with our adhesive on our digitizer. And you also want to add a piece on the very bottom of the digitizer. So there's actually 5 strips you want to add when it's all done. And with this last strip, you want to be sure not to block the light sensor in the top right part of your digitizer. Next thing you want to do is you want to remove all adhesive tape covering, exposing your tape. Next, you want to use a can or a generator of air to clean all of the particles off of your digitizer, the underside of your digitizer, and also your LCD. Again, it's just to remove all particles so that you don't have any floating particles when you reassemble. Next, you want to set your digitizer and LCD, and you want to align it properly. Again, I want you guys to take note of that ribbon cable on your LCD. Be aware of it. Next, you want to apply adhesive to the midframe. And the next step is to remove all adhesive covering. Next step is to insert your keypad. Next, you want to align and set your LCD and your midframe. And you want to check your keypad for functionality and make sure it's clicking and the buttons are responding like they should to touch. Next, you want to reconnect your logic board, side flex number 1. And you want to also apply yellow tape or your captain's yellow tape to your connector to make sure it holds. And the next step is to reconnect the flex 2, or the second flex, or flex number 2, to your logic board, which takes a little bit of technique, which is why you want to apply a little bit of yellow tape to your first connector to reinforce it so it doesn't come disconnected when you're trying to reconnect flex number 2. So the next step is you want to run your keypad flex through your logic board and pull it through. The next step is to reconnect the RF connector under your logic board. It's kind of hard to see, but you want to make sure you do this in this step. If you look under the logic board, you guys should be able to see it. And the next step is to snap the logic board in place. Now you want to reconnect your RF antenna on top of the logic board. You want to reconnect your black and red cable. You want to place some adhesive on top of the black and red cable just to reinforce it a little bit, keep it from coming out or coming unplugged. Next, you want to reconnect the flex ribbon cable at the top of your unit. Next step is to reinsert your 3 T5 logic board screws. And you want to insert your LCD digitizer assembly back into the back casing. Don't completely close because you want to insert your button. Make sure you insert your buttons. Don't forget about your buttons. And once you insert your buttons, then you can snap it closed and your buttons should be held in safely. Next, you want to reapply your label. And actually this step can be done before you actually put the back casing on. But if you forget, then you can cut your label a little bit to make it fit. And last but not least, you want to reinsert your screws. Insert your battery and your back cover. Power your phone on and test for functionality.